From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
World, it's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It's Thursday, September the 14th. We are going through this year as quick as possible. It's just absolutely nuts how quick this year is going. But you know what? It's Thursday today. Usually we get them on Friday, but today we got them on Thursday because, you know, this is Pop do everybody's show day and bring everybody onto his show day, I guess now. So pretty much let's go ahead and bring out the man himself, the Don of Cape Cod, none other than Mr. Jeff Dawson. What's going on, brother? How's everything going today? And how's the weather out there?
We're pretty good right now. As it looks, the last report, we're in a tropical storm watch. Sounds like Hurricane Lee's going to land in Nova Scotia, Halifax. What we will have on Saturday and Friday night, late Friday night, we'll have wind between 45 and 65. We'll probably get 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. Just your normal tropical storm on the Cape. If it was a direct hit to us, it would have been a whole different story. But, as long as the internet and as long as the cable is up, we'll be good, Pops. We'll be okay.
All right. So, just over here tweeting the show out and everything like that for the people. And, you already know what time it is, Jeff. I'm always happy to have you here and everything like that. And we got so many topics that we could really talk about. But you know what? Me and you are gurus at this sports betting thing. So I'm going to just get to the basics, dog. Because we are not on ESPN. We are not on FS1. This is Prime Wave Media. This is my channel. So we do it the right way. So let's go ahead. And you know what I'm talking about, Jeff. They would love for us to talk about the turf issues and all that stuff. And what announcer said something stupid this week. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the game and get you money. So let's go ahead and get them the money. So pretty much up first, we got all these great CFB week 3 top games. We got a couple conferences starting, not starting, but we got conference games this week. SEC has 3 of them this week. And from what I can see, it looks like the Big Ten has 1. I think the AAC has 1 tonight. I know that the Big 12 actually has an inaugural game tonight. Finally, you get Houston and Texas, TCU in the same conference. That's going to be absolutely epic. It's not a rivalry. It's not an outer conference rivalry anymore. It's an actual interconference rivalry. So we got a lot of really good games coming up this week. We got possibly some upset specials and things going on like that. And let's go and talk about a game that I do feel like can be an upset special very early in this college season, and that's going to be Minnesota 2-0 at number 20, UNC 2-0. We got a spread of 7.5, an over-under of 51. You got Drake May, the guy that is seen as probably the best all-around arm in the college football rankings and pretty much seen as a top 10 draft pick going into next year. But he goes to the University of North Carolina. They said the same thing about Sam Howell. He got drafted in the 3rd round. So, it might not be the exact predictions that they wanted to be, but, Mitch Trubisky kind of messed up the whole UNC train a little bit because they really went high on that guy and it didn't work out the way that they wanted it to. But when we get down to this game, the way that I see this game working out, Jeff, is that you have a Minnesota team that literally went in there and had themselves a pretty tough game against the Cornhuskers, and they won that game late. Cornhuskers played great defense throughout that game, and it was an absolute clinic in a sense. You know what I mean? It was a great game for any coach that was looking at how to run a defense and be clutch at the end. But they do have a good coach in PJ Fleck who does have his boys ready. I know that they had some issues and everything like that, but does it really matter? You know, because sometimes when you're a really good coach, there are the guys that just can't take good coaching. They can't take any discipline. So they're going to run to the media and have a whole bunch of stuff to say because they weren't even good players in the first place. So, you know, they're always going to whine and complain because, you know, college coaches promise a lot of things. And when you get to the school, if you're not performing, some of them promises go out the window. But when it comes down to the way that this game shapes up, North Carolina is on this week. They should have lost to Appalachian State. Let's keep it real. Drake May had a terrible game against the team that's in the Sun Belt Conference. I know Appalachian State's one of the better little mid-major, smaller school teams or whatever. But, Jeff, come on. That's a game where they're supposed to go out there and absolutely annihilate that team. They're there for a reason. They're there to get beat on, and they didn't do that. So it shows you that the team is only running with a great quarterback. Yeah, they had a good little win against South Carolina to start the season, but that's because they have a coach that pretty much knew their playbook. So they had a little bit of an advantage there. So, you know, you can go ahead and ride a line through that. Then when you don't have another team's playbook, you saw how bad that defense was. So I know you look at Minnesota, you say, okay, but they didn't score that many points against Nebraska. Nebraska's one of the best defenses in the nation. Straight up. Yeah, I know they didn't do great against Colorado, but their quarterback gave them no chances at the same time, too. So I truly do feel that Minnesota does cover the plus 7.5. And I'm going to be bold enough to say that they cover the plus 220, plus 240, whatever they're going to hand out on the money line. I know it's going to go all the way up to possibly 260 by the time we get to kickoff. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, you were talking about the quarterback for UNC, Mr. May, and the talk is if Khalib holds out and comes back for another year, let's say Arizona does get the number one pick, and he comes back for his senior year, May will be the first quarterback drafted and could be number one. When I looked at my numbers, I did smell upset alert. It's kind of funny that you led that way. My true number was 6 with a 48. And right now the public sees anything under a touchdown with this. They run to the window. Currently at circa 7.5 with a 51. I always go by my original number. I think it will be within that touchdown. I do like the Gophers here. I do think they can spring the upset. I do think defensively they got a lot more to offer than UNC does on that side of the ball. And you are spot on correct. Believe it or not, Nebraska is a top 10 defense this year. They had Minnesota beat. They were up 13. Yeah, they were up 10-3 late, and they gave up 10 points in the last 4 minutes there. They played Prime in Colorado real tough for the first half, ran out of gas there. So, again, I think the spread's wrong here. If Minnesota does lose, it will be within a touchdown. So anything that you can grab 7.5, run to the window there, and then always sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on the money line as well.
And just the physicality of Big Ten teams compared to ACC teams, it's a real different animal. Because really Big Ten teams go in there and they're trying to punch you in the face to start the game off. You know, ACC teams, they're either going to be real physical or they're going to be real finesse. And UNC is a finesse team. And this is a terrible matchup for them this weekend. I'm going to keep it real. 100%. I just really feel like it's an awful matchup for them if they're pushing themselves towards being a national elite. You know what I mean? Because they're not there yet. And this game pretty much shows us that they're not going to be there yet, in my opinion. So this is a big, big time upset special right there. And I'll make sure to mark it down on my weekend tickets for you guys as well, too. So you guys do not miss out on that. So let's go ahead and move forward to the next game. And this is a battle in Texas. We got the DF Dub against the H-Town, baby. And, TCU, a team that is now entered the level of not just Texas and Texas, not just like the eighth school in Texas anymore. Now they're right up there, right behind the Horns. It's a real thing now over in Fort Worth, Texas, for TCU, who's came a very long way too, Jeff. This team used to play in the old in the old Conference USA, but it was the good Conference USA though. Cincinnati, Virginia, West Virginia, Louisville, the old guard that was there. So, TCU always has been a rival to Houston. You know that these two schools, their rivalry was in the Conference USA for a long time as well, too. And as we know, TCU left first when they went to the Big 12. No, Houston left first. I'm sorry. So pretty much, these guys know each other very well. It's a traditional rivalry, and we all know that TCU is a team that's in a rebuild phase. Literally the whole school left. The whole team left. That's why Prime and crew. That was a great win, but you didn't beat the guys that played in the national championship. You beat the guys that go to TCU now. So that's something that you can put into play for that game. But that kind of shows you where TCU is going to be at this year. They're not going to be one of the better Big 12 teams this season. And I already knew that coming into this year, to be honest with you, because actually they were very ahead of schedule. A lot of people don't know that. They were very ahead of schedule last season. And now, since they're seen as a good team, it's going to get really tough. But they will pull off some upsets during the season as well, too. That's something that we can't give them. But Houston's not the same team anymore. Let's just go ahead and get to that part. Because Houston has a coach that's absolutely awful. The guy left West Virginia. He left the Power Five to go to the Mid Five, and now Houston's a Power Five school, and that's absolutely historic for a school that it's long overdue. But I feel like them coming to the big time, the Power Five, it's gonna be a work in progress for these guys, and this is gonna be a game that really favors TCU more than anything, in my opinion. And TCU coming in here as a 7.5-point favorite, they should be favored by more, because when you lose to Rice, yeah, you got some problems, Jeff. Real problems. You lose to Rice by 7, Rice is everybody's gimme game in Texas for the bigger schools. They're a tune-up. And when your tune-up beats you, then we got some problems over here, because now you're a tune-up. And that's how I see TCU treating Houston. I know they're going to treat it as a rivalry game, but this is what happens when your rival becomes your tune-up. And I think that they're going to beat them by 10 or better. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Our sheet had 6.5 with a 62. So first thought process, 34-27, somewhere in there. Now it's up to 7.5 with a 64 or 64.5. Again, you could go and look at one side and say Houston was peaking. TCU gets the big upset loss week 1. They get back on track. Again, not last year's national championship team. Houston, I guess we could say rebuilding. They're going to be in for a long, long year. Don't have, again, I'd like to say Houston can hang around here, but I hope, and I'm probably thinking this out, will say TCU will learn a lot from that loss against Colorado and be able to look back and put some wins together and say, wow, that Colorado team was really, really good. So I am looking at the same way you are here. You can grab TCU minus the 7.5. I think it will be a high-scoring game. Will it get up into the 70s? I don't know. I think TCU's defense actually will be able to slow down Houston a few more times than vice versa. So I like TCU minus the 7 or 7.5 pops.
Hey, I love it. And I think that It's a great play, and I think that a lot of people have to think like that because Houston kind of lost trust, man. I'm sorry. With that Rice loss, they lose a lot of trust because now they're playing against a team that's actually really good. You know what I mean? Because the first 2 weeks of the season, you played, I think they beat UTSA the first week of the year, and they were not the favorite in that game against San Antonio of all teams and barely beat them. And I know San Antonio is way better now, but there's still you're still in an inferior conference compared to what you're in, meaning that your roster should be much better. But UTSA has a good coach. That's the thing about them. And they've worked themselves into a good situation. Let's go ahead and jump into the Penn State Illinois game. And this is a huge one, Jeff, because a lot of people know that Penn State has their issues with Illinois. Nobody's going to just scream that out to you, but we know that Illinois is giving these guys issues every time they go to Champaign. So they come in here set number 7 in the nation. I think that's a little bit much, to be honest with you. And I think that Illinois is 1-1 coming into this plus 14.5, over under 48.5. And yet, Illinois is going to not get a lot of attention this week because they walking into this game and they just got whooped by, of all teams, Kansas. But Kansas ain't your same old Dorothy's Jayhawks anymore. Those boys got some ballers over there now. And that was proven last season. So they've been able to take that into this season, and it was proven against Illinois. We had to see it for ourselves because Illinois is one of the better defensive teams in the league because in the college because of who their coach is and pretty much what their roster is kind of built upon because they're not getting the best offensive players like they used to 30 years ago, but they're getting the best type of defensive players for their system. They just got a guy into the top 10 of the draft in Witherspoon. So this team has really shifted their focus towards having elite defense. And that's pretty much held up their offensive progress as well too. But in certain spots, in certain games, we can always get Illinois to play up to the competition. And this is one of those games, Jeff, where I see Illinois playing up to the competition. And Penn State's going to come in this game and they're going to lollygag a little bit. I'm going to keep it real with you, Jeff. These road games are always really tough. And it's a Big Ten road game. It's a rivalry game. And so I'm going to be very frank here. I really do feel like Illinois could run the table in this game and possibly win the game. But I definitely know that they're going to cover in this game. So that plus 14.5, that presents some great value for all bettors this week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we had Illinois team total at Kansas, and they had a bunch of turnovers early and driving late. Couldn't get that last score. Now I think they've actually had a week off now, and look at this game. I will say this: Penn State is loaded. I'm not saying they're ready to beat Ohio State or Michigan yet, but it's as one of better Franklin's teams here. The 14.5 is much. Well, I also say this for a big favorite road team that's playing at high noon. Tend to start slow. So I like your eyes here with the points plus 14.5. I might even think about if you're unsure of a full game, take a look at the first half. Might be able to get 7.5, 8 there as well. Maybe have a strong first half for Illinois while Penn State's sleepwalking, and then, we'll see what happens in the second half. But I like where your eyes are. It's a low total. My initial number was 14 and a hook and 47.5. So, you're rating that 30-16, 30-17, somewhere in there. So for Illinois to be competitive here, two things must happen. They got to get into the 20, 21, 23s, obviously. And then, you got to keep Penn State under 30 points. So like where your eyes are, Pops, here. If I had to sprinkle something on it, I'd lean Illinois first half, probably around plus 7.5 or 8.
I like that type of mentality because that says that, you know what? I like Illinois, but I don't trust Illinois. So let's see how you start the game off. And then I can just jump out of this thing because you might get, bulldozed in the second half. And I don't want to be over here losing my marbles over a team that is supposed to get beat by 17 or better. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, But when they give you the opportunity, you get the 8.5 in the first half. It's good. But you know what? They're going to really be tricky with the bettors. They're going to say, okay, we know the game's a lot closer than people think it is. So we're going to put it at a 6. And then you put it at a 6, everybody's going to annihilate it on the Penn State side. And then, damn, you got Illinois up by 3 at the half. I explained it this morning when we was talking about the Minnesota game as well, too. And I'm not going to get into that. You guys go to Prime Wave Media. Me and Jeff broke down that game on NFL Bet Exchange. So that's why we don't have that game out today, because I wanted to talk college football with Jeff, because that's what I wanted to do with them last week when we were we got schedules got a little bit conflicted and we couldn't do the show. But that's fine. I just really wish we could have talked Texas, Alabama, man, because I saw that one coming from a mile, dude. I'm telling you, because Alabama is not Alabama anymore. And I said this in my preview. So, it's not that they're not Alabama anymore. It's that everybody's caught up. And now it's fair game. It's not going to be y'all just walking in here and beating teams by 40. You can still beat them, but you're going to have to really play them now. That's the whole thing. And Alabama doesn't have the quarterback that everybody else has. They have a good quarterback, but he's surrounded by superior talent. So he looks great too. But if you put Sam Hartman on the Crimson Tide, they would be saying Sam Hartman is the greatest quarterback to ever step on the field, because he is the type of quarterback that can be exactly what Alabama needs right now. But he's at Notre Dame, and I can't wait to talk about them next week when they got a big game coming on, because Notre Dame, I don't know I don't think they got a big one this week, but they do got Ohio State next week, so that's going to be huge. Let's go ahead and jump into the Washington and Michigan State game. And I know a lot of people probably thinking like, Pop, why are you putting this game up over under a 55.5? Why are you putting this game up? They got the coach having issues. Coach ain't going to coach no more. The team is pretty much about to probably quit on the university, possibly. But as Lee Corso says, hold it right there. They bringing back their old coach, Mike D'Antonio is going to be consulting the interim head coach, pretty much coaching from the booth and not being on the sideline. Because everybody's remember, D'Antonio didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't tell anybody. He knew his players were messing up, but he didn't address it to his boss. So did he ever get fired? No, he did not. He retired from his post for the moment. And literally what it was you're going to take a break for 2 years and then we'll bring you back. That's what it was, because they never believed in Mel Tucker. Keep it real. He was always a scapegoat coach because they knew he wasn't going to perform. Because did he perform at Colorado? No, he did not. So they knew what they were doing. They used the old affirmative action card. Yeah, I'm going to say it on the show today. They used that to make themselves look good because they were in a scandalous situation. But then you bring another POS over here, and he gets in trouble now. And pretty much you're just going to bring back your old coach. This is how it always works. You had a coach that was a stopgap coach, and that's why you bringing in your old coach. You knew that you wasn't keeping this coach for more than 2 years. So, and they could sit there and say everything they wanted to for it to be glossy and make it look good for the papers, Jeff. But we know what Michigan State did. D'Antonio didn't do anything to really lose his job. He just had to take a break. That's all it is. You know what I mean? So he's going to be back, but they'll be better next year. But this is the type of game where they'll catch you slipping, Jeff. You know that. They're going to catch you slipping because you're automatically going in there talking about Washington's going to go in there, beat them by 21 or better. We're out of here. Washington's going to unfriendly confines. The crowd's still going to show up for the game. And they're going to be loud and they're going to be obnoxious. and they're going to make it tough on Washington. This is a true test for the Washington Huskies because we haven't really seen them play much over the last few years, but the teams that they get beat by in the Pac-12. So this is a huge matchup between two Power 5 schools and two future conference opponents because Washington is headed to the Big Ten as well too. So I feel like Michigan State, they say we don't care about what happened with the coaches and all this other extra stuff. I came here to win football games. I came here to compete. So I'm going to get on this field and not embarrass myself. So taking the plus 16.5 in this spot, Jeff, I got to do it. Give me Michigan State plus 16.5 to cover in this game. I'm not saying they win. I'm just saying that it's going to be a long day for the Huskies if they think that they're coming in here to blow Michigan State out. That's all I'm saying.
You know, this a lot to decipher there, Pops. You know, I was sitting talking with the crew the first 2 weeks, and it was last week when they were like, I can't believe they gave this coach how much money? Are you kidding me? And then the phone sex scandal or whatever came out. It was almost like right on cue, like, how do we get out of this contract? And presto bango, here we go again. If you haven't watched Washington, must-see TV. The quarterback is, I mean, he's one of those quarterbacks no one's even talking about. Penix, this offense, I had their team total week 1. We had them last week, and they played grab ass. And I am telling you right now, my first initial numbers was 16 and a 56.5. So, again, that's right on that 37-20, Pops. If you can get Washington State's team total under 37, 36, 35.5, these guys are going to score some points. Now, defensively, we'll see which defense shows up. Pops, was it last year or the year before State came there and both teams, they scored 1 million points? Was it last year?
I think it was State that came into Washington last year, made it a crazy game.
It was like one of those back and forth, or the year before, there was 1 million points scored. I picked Washington before the season started to win the Pac-12, Pac-8, Pac-4, whatever we want to call it. It was just, again, to go against the grain. No USC, no Oregon, or whatever. But my point is, this Washington offense can score with the best of them. The number's a little high. 16.5 is inflated. That means they'd be over 20 at home. Which Michigan State team's going to show up, Pups? You know, the one again that you know fights for the crowd, fights for their school, or the one that says, "Here we go again, new coach, season's already over," and they just get road running. But I like Washington team total over whatever number you get, Pops.
Got you, baby. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to probably the best game of the weekend, and it's a super rivalry as well too, and that's going to be number 11 Tennessee 2-0 at Florida 1-1. And Florida, you know what? Florida is not in as bad a shape as everybody wants them to be. You know what happened in game 1? They played against a team that had revenge on their mind. Their team wanted to absolutely destroy Florida after what happened last season and them losing a game in the last seconds of that game as well too. So you don't have your NFL drafted quarterback anymore to save you this time, and pretty much Utah went ahead and ripped you apart. It's an early game in the season, you know, and Florida really kind of played with a lot of nerves with the idea that they knew it was going to be a tough game. It was going to be a tough night, and this was going to be something that, you know, was going to be difficult to win because you're in Utah, and if the game is close, they're going to give Utah all the calls. We've came to realize this over the last few years. Utah actually has became like the new Notre Dame, Jeff. You know what I mean? Remember, you go to Notre Dame, last 2 minutes of the game, if it's going to be a hold or something like that, it's going to be on your team, not Notre Dame. You know what I mean? And that's how it is with Utah now. They have a certain, you know, mojo at home. You know what I mean? I think that Tennessee is coming in here as a team that's front running a little bit, Jeff. They ain't play nobody the first 2 weeks of the season. I think when you start off your season, you get whooped. I mean, whooped, like Florida did. It's great motivation for when you go into these big rivalry games like they're going to do with Tennessee on Saturday. And I feel like what happens in this game is going to be a lot of different elements to where you can probably get a monster effort from Florida in this spot. I'm going to be bold here, Jeff, because I do not trust Joe. What is it? Joe Mixon? Joe Milton? My bad. Joe Milton. My bad. Because I got to be all the way PC correct. I messed up on a boxing fight date. I'm getting eviscerated for it. But I just, like I said, but did you listen to the analysts I had for the fight? Who cares about the date? So we got Tennessee 2-0. And I think that they think that they own Florida. And that's not the right mentality in the Florida matchup, in my opinion. Because I remember growing up, and Florida used to have their absolute way with Tennessee. And so I've still seen that for the last decade. So pretty much I know that Tennessee had a great one against them last year, and they had a great team last season. But this team is different this year, in my opinion. And I truly do feel that Florida just doesn't cover. They can win this game. So I like the plus 6.5. And I know it's going to be probably plus 200, plus 190, something of that nature, because I can see Gator alumni, Gators fans going really heavy on their team this weekend. If we were in Vegas right now, I could see a guy put 20,000 on the Gators easily. But then you have some goofball come in there and put 50,000 on Tennessee. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I know that possibly Florida will probably take more tickets in this game, and Tennessee is going to take more money in this game.
I look at my numbers. I had a 7 with a 57. So some quick math here. 31, 24 was short there. Right around 33-28, somewhere in there, 33-27. Tennessee kind of played grab ass last week. The big question here, very simply, is which Mr. Milton will show up. Tennessee last year was phenomenal. Offensively, put up 50 with Mr. Hooker left, right in every game. Florida, on the other hand, I don't want to say a rebuilding year, but not a lot of high expectations. Yep, money's coming in on Florida, as you said, Pops. As I speak right now, it's down to 6.5. It's 6.5. Next move is 6 at a 58 right now. So if you like Florida, my suggestion very simply is if your book offers 6.5, buy the hook, take it up to 7. So 8 or better beat you. I think you're going to have a real competitive game, a high scoring game. And I'll take it a step further, Pops. Last team with the ball wins the game. How's that, Pops?
Hey, that sounds right on to me, brother. That sounds right on to me. I think that's the move, to be exact, right there. And that's what rivalry games are all about. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And I know Jeff, I can see it in his face. He's going to get excited that we get to talk some baseball, because all you football fans know that it's great. Football is back and everything like that, but you're being rude. Baseball is in full bloom right now. We're at the stretch drive of the best part of the season. So, baseball going to get its spotlight. I don't care. Football, they talk about you 24/7, 365. Baseball, you're going to get your 5 minutes here, okay? So, you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. So let's go ahead and talk about the MLB Pennant Race right now. And the Pennant Race is absolutely picking up. It's scorching. It's just absolutely incredible right now. So, Jeff, I'll let you kick it off. What race to you is the race that is going to end up being settled on the last day of the season?
I think we would have thought it would have been Houston and Texas, right? I think that's what we would have thought. Texas with their pitching injuries, now Mac's done for the year, DeGrom's done for the year. So, it sets up good for Houston. I think Tampa and Baltimore got a series coming in. Baltimore loses 1-0 to the Cardinals yesterday. Oof. I think that one is – I still think the Orioles will win that division there. I've been thinking a lot about this, how this is shaping up, injuries and stuff. And I'm kind of circling around your question because I can't get past Dodgers and Braves. I was all in on the Braves all year, and Strider was the answer, and that was the reason. And something's up, and I just don't think they have a stopgap, and I don't even know what your pitching rotation is going to look like either. But I just can't get past those two there. But if you wanted to say, I'll stick with it, Pops. How's that? I'll stick with the Rangers in Houston. How's that?
Well, you don't think Seattle plays a part into this? Because I need that plus 550 to cash, Jeff. And, Seattle came all the way from but Trevor Denman used to say, they coming from the clouds. You know what I mean? When that racehorse comes down that stretch, you never saw him coming. So I'm feeling like, Seattle is in prime position. That's a three-headed monster right there. And Texas keeps figuring out ways to play themselves out of that situation. And it just seems like they keep throwing more and more hurdles at Texas. But I get your reasoning for Texas. Texas got into a playoff situation this week with Toronto, and they're ahead of Toronto now after this. So they showed that they are ready for the second season because they had a second season scenario and were able to get it done. But I feel like Seattle has been the Achilles heel, the thorn in both of their sides this year. They went to Houston and swept them to get back into this thing, And, Texas, they went over there and they handled them pretty easily as well, too. So I feel like I'm looking at the schedule. I really do feel like Seattle has to still be considered as the danger. But I know where your thinking is at as well, too, Jeff. Seattle is probably thinking with the mentality, you know what? We've already got back into the playoff position. We just need to make the playoffs. That's the first goal, is make the playoffs. This competing for the division, this is tough. We have to make the playoffs but you have to put yourself in position to chase the biggest prize so you can really solidify that you're there. But I truly do think that I'm with you. That's the race to watch. And when I look at the schedule, the most important games this month for both of these teams come at the end of the month because Houston and Texas, they're done with their series this year already because they played a lot already. But you got Texas and Seattle meeting up from the 22nd to the 24th this month. Then you have Houston for the next series for Seattle, 25th, 26th, 27th. And then for the final series of the year, you get a 4-gamer with Texas and the Mariners. So this is the theater setting up perfect, Jeff. And I'm excited. I'm excited for that one. Now, real quick, what are your thoughts on the NL Central? Do you think the Cubs have just pretty much said, okay, let's just make the playoffs now? Because they had a great opportunity to actually win the division.
I want to backtrack for a second because you're looking. Why don't we just say Seattle's your Thunder Gulch? Backstretch Kentucky Derby where I had them at 20-1, come up at the wire and win. I like Seattle to make the playoffs. How's that sound? I think that they are in better form in horse terms, can go further than the Rangers can right now. I think it comes down to the AL East, the Braves, the Rays, and Toronto. You need to get Toronto the hell out of the way there, so another team from the West can get in there. So I am not poo-pooing the Seattle at all, and I actually would rather see Seattle in there than Texas. Listen, if Texas had DeGrom and Max healthy, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because they'd be 8 or 9 games up. So getting to the Central, I think it's we made our run. Let's get into the playoffs. Again, just get to the dance. Just ask the Phillies last year. Just get to the dance. And everyone forgets this, and I know I've talked about it on your show. I'm going to repeat it right now. The play-in game was the Cardinals and the Phillies. And the Cardinals, top of the ninth, had a 1-run lead, and they botched the leadoff guy at first base. They botched the play that would have been 1 out, and then the Cardinals go and give up 4 runs, and then the Phillies go on this monster run. So I think the Cubs are dangerous. I do. They listen. I know they want to already give Snell the Cy Young. He's had an amazing year, but the Cubs got Mr. Steele himself, and he's had a great year as well. So I think the Brewers are in by default, Pops, but I think the Cubs are built for a playoff run.
Jeff, you're right on the money with that one because, look, I said to everybody, 30 teams in 30 days, people can go back and they can look at my shows. And when I did Cubs Day, I said the Cubs have the roster and have the manager to pull off a playoff type season. I look at them as the major league guys in a sense because they got a lot of guys that got thrown away who were great players where they were before, but something just happened to where they weren't good anymore. Okay. Cody Bellinger was the MVP of baseball a few years back. He was the golden boy of baseball in LA a few years back. What happens? He gets hurt. He got hurt. Cody is finally healthy. I've been trying to just scream this to the mountaintops. The boy was never healthy the last 2 or 3 years, but he was just going about being a baseball player. If you understand baseball and watched it for a long enough time, when a guy's production goes down, it's because he's hurt. And it's because he's not healthy anymore. And once they get healthy again, they can find their game again. The Dodgers just didn't have enough patience for that because they're asking the Dodgers to put up $250 million to keep them around. And they just don't do that with the guy who strikes out 200 times a year. He has to go show you that he still got it. And he had to go to Chicago on a prove-it deal. He could have took a king's ransom and went and played for the Royals and went and played for the Nationals and went and played for just any sorry-ass team in the MLB. It just took their money like Chris Bryant did. Chris Bryant literally just jacked the Rockies. We both know that. So pretty much I truly do feel the Cubs are the most dangerous team walking into the playoffs. But, Stroman, it's going to be really tough because Stroman's the one that started the winning. for him. He started the right gestures to get the team going, and now he's out because the hip. And now you have to really base everything off of what Cody's going to do, and you got to hope that you get great pitching efforts throughout this month, so then you can really close on this thing. But the Cubs season has been absolutely tremendous. What are your thoughts on the Diamondbacks? Do you think that they could be somebody that plays rears their ugly head as this young upstart team?
In dog track terms, they were a perfect flash and fade in my eyes. They went as far as Gallen and a few other pitchers. Kelly, who I think is going tonight as well. Great young hitting. They were stealing a bazillion bases, Corbin Carroll and a bunch of other youth. You know what? Hats off to them this year. And the fact that they have built a team like the Reds, like the Orioles, and a few others that are moving in the right direction. Unlike my Red Sox, who today, finally fired the GM, Shane Bloom, and we're moving in another direction again for the millionth time. But I like where the Arizona's got them. When you got good young arms and you got speed, you're already, 2 steps ahead of a lot of the competition. Unfortunately for them, they're in a real tough division with the Dodgers, with the Giants, with the Padres. Again, you could be looking at when you and I talk during the what is it called in December there, the hot stove and the free agency period, could be talking about a team in the NL West who just landed Shohei Ohtani, which is a game changer. We all expect it to be your Dodgers. But with that said, what happens if it is San Francisco? What happens if they shock the world and get them? So like where Arizona's going, like some of their pitching, their team definitely moving in the right direction, Pops.
And you know what? The dark horse for this situation right now to get Shohei Ohtani, the Mariners. Yeah, nobody's mentioning that much, but the Mariners is in the back room too. What I mean?
He made it clear during the All-Star break. He made it clear to the world that he loved it. He loved the city. He loved the atmosphere. He loved the fans. And don't forget, he'd be following in Mr. Ichiro's footsteps. So, right. So it's definite. And I'd love to see Shohei there. That would shake up the West for sure.
Right. And you know what? Sometimes guys have to go to certain places like that, but the Dodgers will make a true, pitch towards him, but the Dodgers aren't going to overspend for him, though. I promise you that. They're not gonna give him a king's ransom. They're just not.
I'm going to tell you this. Before the pitching injury, which again, he'll still be able to DH next year. I don't know what it will be for pitching. Your Dodgers basically told his agent, here's what we want you to do. Go and talk to whoever you want. Come bring us your best price. We will beat it by 10%. That contract's still going to start with a 6, Pops. It's not starting with a 5.
Well, I guess going to get ready to just get rid of the whole farm now then. Because I don't know how they want to pull that one off, but we'll see. But that's why they decided not to be silly in at the winter meetings, because the Dodgers had 6 all-star type players they could have signed, and they were just like, we're straight. Devers wanted to come to the Dodgers. Like, the Dodgers said no, and he went to San Diego. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, I know. And we'll see. We will see. But, if the Angels really played it smart, they would have just traded him to the Dodgers, because they could have got 4 arms, 3 bats, 10 Dodger dogs, and, the head pianist. You know what I mean? So they could have got a lot of things. I know that we're running short on time, so let's talk about the MVP race real quick. MVP race, we have Mookie and Acuna and Freddie at it. But really, I really want to talk about the NL. I know I have the AL up here, but let's keep it real. We know Ohtani is going to win that award, because Ohtani is the most popular player in baseball, and there's no doubt about it. But when it comes down to it, who do you like, Acuna or Mookie, to win the National League? And do you think Freddie has a chance?
Pops, I'm going to put it this way. Obviously, Shohei's the winner in the American League. The NL, I think social media played a big role in this initially. Pops, it was exactly like the NBA MVP for the last 3 years. It's Embiid's to win, then in comes Jokic, and then in comes Harden on the outside. And then last year, it's Jokic. Oh, no, now Embiid's the favorite. Listen, no disrespect to Mookie, none whatsoever. Freddie Freeman's had a great year and a hot second half. But the numbers are the numbers, and you look what Acuna's done from start to finish. Acuna's, in my eyes, is the National League MVP.
Well, I'm homering right now, but Mookie's having a season.
I know.
Mookie's having a season.
He has.
And I don't care, man. Acuna doesn't play the game the right way, in my opinion. Acuna, yeah, you're doing good. You're doing great. You know what I mean? But you know what? Don't be such a show-off, bro. Because seriously, old school MLB, they'd have beamed your ass upside the head already, bro. Like, seriously. Don't, hit a home run, bro, but you don't have to do a whole samba Tekken dance on the way to the home plate. I know you think you're entertaining the crowd, but you're not entertaining anybody. You're holding the game up, dog. You know what I mean? And I thought we was over this after Tatis, because the more and more guys who do this chauvinistic showing off stuff, they're always cheating, Jeff. They're always getting popped with HGH and all that good stuff and all this stuff. And then they say Acuna's career was almost over. So I'm just waiting for when they pop him with some PEDs or something like that, because the guy's just a little bit too excited for me. And, I'm a little bitter because, yeah, it was a Saturday afternoon in LA. He hits a beautiful home run because the pitcher literally gave away his pitches, you know what I mean? And then he has to do all that chauvinistic stuff. And I ain't like that, man. That's not, I know people think that that's so entertaining in baseball and da. It has to have a certain place. I didn't like it when Delhi was over there pissing the umpire off, talking about my handle, blah, 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 blah. I said, see, and that's how your ass gets struck out on a pitch that you wasn't supposed to get struck out on, because you're over here annoying the umpire. What's his name? The one that always makes the mistakes that they hate? Angel Martinez.
Angel Hernandez.
This is how you get on their bad side, by thinking that you know more than them. And pretty much, Freddie Freeman, guys like that, Mookie, they good at the plate because they don't disrespect that much. But these guys who constantly disrespect the umpire, that's why they always have issues. And so we'll see how it goes. But just call me a bitter Dodger fan for that one. But still, play the game, man. It's a gentleman's game.
You can thank the Red Sox for your back end of Gatterall and of Brazier.
Take them back.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Take him back. Gatterall sucks. Can't stand that guy, dude. He's too hot.
And Brazier's been your best Bridgie in the whole season. He came over and he couldn't throw a strike for the Red Sox. He couldn't. Now he gets a little of the juice, and next thing you know, he's Cy Young over there.
Right. Hey, he gets some of that Mark Pryor. The pitching czar himself, the pitching guru. All right, so real quick. So Jeff likes Acuna, I like Mookie. Hopefully they'll just let him split it. I think that's the right thing to do. Just split it.
Well, listen, just like in the NFL, right? Jalen won the regular season. Patrick won the Super Bowl MVP. So, hey, listen, let Mookie win the regular. I mean, let Acuna win the regular season, and then just beat him in the playoffs and win the World Series. That's all.
Right. Well, Jeff, you already know what time it is. I can't wait. Hopefully, we get that NLCS, but I can't say we're gonna get it because baseball is a tricky sport, and we both know this. But I think that Fox would be very happy, would be very with a Dodgers Braves NLCS, because it's the right type of season for it. Baseball is going to get its ratings back, and it's going to be good. It's going to be real good because that clock makes a big difference for the outside, fan, not the person who's like me and you, Jeff, where we live it. It's, the guy that only pops in during the World Series. You know what I mean? Those people. Yeah. So with that, I know Jeff has to leave us right now because it's 1:00, and he told me he only had till 1:00. I've used my hour up, and I know that he don't care about talking about no damn because I got 3 more games I got to talk about real quick. If you want to, if you do have a little bit more time.
I have exactly 5 minutes. Let it rip.
Okay, then we'll get through it in 5 minutes. I promise. I'm looking at the clock. All right, so up first, let's talk about the Orioles and the Rays. We got ourselves the Rays coming in on the road, 90-57. You got the Orioles 91-54. Jeff, who do you have winning this game, and who wins the series this weekend?
I don't like the Baltimore bats all of a sudden getting cold at the wrong spot. The value today, I know value is only value if you're cashing the ticket, but the value's easily on the Braves today with Savali versus Bradish. Ticket count 57% of the bets, 58% of the money all coming in on Baltimore. Yet the opening number of 135 is now down to 130 at circa. I like the Rays today. And is it a 4-game series, Pops? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Is it a 4-game series? Thursday, Friday,
Saturday? It's going to be a 4-game series.
So who wins the series? I'm going 2-2 split, Pops. How's that?
2-2 split. That would keep the Orioles on top, and that ain't good for the Rays. I'm going to be tricky here, Jeff. I think what happens here is that the Rays take 3 out of 4.
Okay.
This is now it's time to show who you truly are, because it's no more, okay, we got 50 more games. No, this is the division right here, and winner gets the number 1 seed in the AL. And I know the Rays would love to be the one to get the break. They feel like they entitled to the break. They the one that started off 13 and zip. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But hey, I like the Orioles to win the title too. I don't act like I don't like the Orioles to win it, because I've been an Oriole supporter for the last 18 months. You know what I mean? Since last July. I'm the one that said that they were better than 78 wins this year, and that they were a dark horse wild card team. And here we are, the best team in the American League. They done went over my expectations. So real quick, Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Blue Jays and the Rangers tonight? And is this a must-win situation for the Blue Jays, or they just have to figure it out this weekend?
Nah, Gosman has struggled in the second half. Evaldi coming off the injury list not too long ago. Neither pitcher has been in form, but the over-under started at 8, down to 7.5. 52% of the bets are on Texas, but 61% of the money is in on Toronto. I will give everyone watching and listening this. The number opened at 165. It only could go one way, and it is. It's down to 148. If you're leaning for Toronto, I'd take a look at the run line, even though I don't like it at home, but you can get some good plus money on them winning this game by 2 or more, Pops.
All right. So there it is. And the way I'm going with this one tonight, Jeff, is I really do like this game to go to the Rangers. Evaldi's going to sit up. He's a clutch pitcher, and I just think he's going to be clutch in this spot tonight. So I do like him with the plus 125. And I do feel like, you know what, it's just been too much of a topsy-turvy back-and-forth season for the Blue Jays, and I think they're going to just miss the playoffs here at the end, man, because I would think you're kind of tired at this point, because it's been back and forth. You're either a loser or you're a winner. You're either a loser or you're a winner, and that's just like been their season. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm looking at it, man. But let's go ahead and jump into the Giants and the Rockies real quick. Who do you have winning this game, and do you think the Giants can make the playoffs?
I got San Francisco and Webb winning this game, a real big number, opened at 255, now 234. Only way I could play that, obviously, would be on the run line. I'd also take a look at San Fran tonight and their team total over. As to make the playoffs, nice start of the year, kind of ran out of gas. Again, need them in the Ohtani bidding. Don't forget they were the high bid for Judge by 50 million over, and he went back to New York. Expect them to be, excuse me, in the Ohtani race. Expect them to win tonight. Do they make the playoffs? No, they don't, sir.
Man, that sucks because they had such a nice little run there, but it just kind of fell off. And it's all good because you know what? The Diamondbacks were the team that came up to the party early, and they stayed consistent. That's good for them. The Giants were a team that started slow, then they cooked for 3 months, and then they started getting beat again. So it happens. It happens. It happens. But we both know that the Giants are possibly a free agent away from changing everything. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But Jeff, thank you so much, brother, for joining us today. When I get back, we will wrap up the show with Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned, and you guys can catch my man, Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod, on all those great networks with that sign right there. The East Coast Sports Investors or the EC Sports Invest. You guys can catch him on all those different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Jeff has it going, and he will have the great shows going for you tomorrow. I think he got 3 of them going tomorrow. So you guys make sure you tune into all of them. Okay. So Jeff, any last words, any shout outs that you want to make before I take us to commercial?
No, I just want to thank everyone. Obviously, blessed and honored to be a part of the movement. You and I talked backstage about, we set the precedence here. And for the newbies here, as I said to Pops, tongue in cheek, we were on Twitter when the roads were dirt. We were riding covered wagons. Okay. We have lasted the test of time. Okay. Now we're in the Ferraris and the Lambos, but the game has changed. We won't get involved in exactly how the game has changed. Just stick to the people that were here in 2010, 11, 12, 13, etc. Not the ones that have just popped up on 2022, 2023. Tight skirts, mini skirts, beautiful eyes, and the rest is history. So stick with Pops, stick with me, stick with the people that you believe in, that do the work day in, day out, that understand that it's a grind, that understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. Hey, you lost yesterday, you get back up, you dust it off, and you win today. As Pop says, let's try to win today. So, Pops, there it is. Have an amazing week, and we will catch up to you on the NFL Bet Exchange.
Yes, sir. We'll see you at Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So, you guys stay your butt right there because Talking Tickets is coming up, and we got a commercial right now. So, I'll be back to you.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
We're back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. Let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. And Talking Tickets, what do we have here for Talking Tickets? Up first, we have ourselves the MLB Super High 5 for today. We got a 28-1 ticket here, and we got the Rangers money line plus 125. That's actually going to be our MLB dog bet of the day. Then we also have the Red Sox money line minus 110. Also, we'll have the under 8 with the Rays and the Orioles today. And then also we have the 1.5 to the Twins with the minus 115. And then we go ahead and wrap this thing up with the over 10 Giants and Rockies. And this is going to be a 28-1 ticket. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And as I always say, Small risk, big reward. So you put 20 on that bad boy, you get back 560. That's a good deal right there. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the CFB Thursday night bets. We got the over 48 with Memphis and Navy tonight in that AAC opener somewhat for that conference. And then we also have Bethune-Cookman at plus 53. They're going to be over in Coral Gables tonight playing against the U, playing against the Canes. So I do like Bethune-Cookman to keep things competitive somewhat and lose this game by 49 instead of 53. Okay. And Bethune-Cookman is another Florida college as well, too. So this is kind of like a rivalry game in a sense, but really it's just a tune-up and you helping the school maintenance the library for the next year. That's pretty much what it is. All right. So we move forward and we got the TNF bets. And I know if you watch the show today, like, why don't we talk about the Thursday night football? We talked about Thursday night football on Tuesday. So if you guys do want to watch the preview, it is on Prime Wave Media, the channel on YouTube, and you guys can watch the preview of the game. So with the TNF bets tonight, we got the Vikings plus 6.5 to cover. I already had them at plus 7.5. So we're going to do this again and take them at plus 7.5. It's plus 6.5. And then we have the Vikings plus 220 money line tonight. The under 25.5 first half. And then we have the Eagles 2.5 first quarter minus 110 tonight. So that's where we're going with this. And that's where we are doing. So pretty much I'm pushing for the upset tonight with the Vikings because I feel like not Justin Jefferson being the big factor in this game. I feel like Jordan Addison's going to have a coming out party tonight. And you guys know I'm a little biased because I did interview the guy right before he was drafted, but I truly do feel that it's going to be a big night for Minnesota after being upset by the Bucs on Sunday at home. I think that the Eagles were very, very shaky in that game against the Patriots. And in a game like this, they're going to expect for the Vikings to lay down. And I don't feel like the Vikings are ready to lay down like that. So I think it's going to be a great game. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And Nephew has came in with his prop plays. And here goes some props for you guys today. They're all baseball props. Well, we got some football here too as well. But he got Webb going over 5Ks today in the San Francisco game. Mayetta going over 5Ks today in the Twins game. Hawkinson getting 5 catches tonight, over 5 catches tonight. AJ getting over a half a touchdown. So that's AJ Brown tonight. And JJ getting a touchdown tonight as well, too. That 20 will get you 500. That's a 25-1 ticket. And then you also have Urena. I don't know what you're doing with Urena, but Urena over 4.5 hits, and that should be something that's pretty good. So if you add that one onto it, once again, it's still a 25-1 ticket, but it would now turn into, I would say, that would turn into a 5-teamer. So with that, that's that. That's going to be a wrap on the show today. And pretty much I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in as usual. You guys are the absolute best. And with that, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I'll be here right back at you tomorrow. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.